Now, if that's his fiance is massive. I think that's your dad. I think you're calling your father your fiance. To be like, oh, they're banning anime, when really the actual story is way worse. The actual story is far more of an infringement on free speech, where there's like student protests against the incumbent government that people are sick of. Like Asmongold or Chibi brings up some quote-unquote free speech issue in the UK. There is like an 80% chance they're completely misportraying it in one of the most disgusting ways imaginable. A new hit piece has just come out on ChibiReviews. Do we know ChibiReviews? I think we all know who ChibiReviews is, right? He's one of the most famous lolicons online right now. Him and Rev Says Desu. And I don't know who else, but mainly those two are the ones I think about when I think lolicon right now. They do like, he much like Rev does sort of culture war grift, anime related videos. And he is just like endlessly baiting, getting into fights with people on Twitter, claiming he's gonna sue them. He like talks to Legal Mindset a bunch about his stuff as well, I think. He's had this GoFundMe running for ages for this lawsuit he's allegedly doing to try and sue all the people that are doxing him. It's like totally insane. It's like an obvious lawsuit. He's like a total grifter. He's very embarrassing and retarded. If you've seen even like one of his videos, you can immediately pick up how much of just a like low life moron Chibi guy is. Anyway, I want to show a recent video and some recent tweets.
Can you?
From this guy before we watch this documentary.
Hey guys, it's pre-recorded Chibi, and the time this video is uploaded, I'm going to be in the middle of surgery, or about to be in the middle of surgery, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm pretty nervous, because I've never actually had surgery my entire life. I mean, unless we're counting wisdom teeth removal, but I've never actually had to, let's say, go into the hospital and get surgery. Now, this might come as bad news for those that are my haters, but no, I'm not dying. Now, most of you might not care to know why I'm going into surgery, but for those that are somewhat interested, I'm going to reveal the embarrassing and dark, funny secrets about it. And yes, I said funny, because the entire situation is just, it has honestly been insane. Like, I can't even believe there's a surgery for it. That's literally just how insane it is. And so before I reveal exactly what it is, let me kind of explain what's going on here to the procedure and stuff. So basically, I'm going to be getting put under, going basically under anesthesia. They're going to be putting me out for like 40 minutes to an hour, and the surgery isn't necessarily...
Dude, I wish.
Complicated. It's nothing life-threatening that's going to end up with me dying or anything on the operating table, but it is still scary, because obviously it's surgery. I've never experienced it, besides obviously getting wisdom teeth removed.
Let's hear it,
it's
Chibi.
definitely
what are you
a new
getting
thing
surgery
for me,
for?
and it's just, like I said, it's
stressful.
It is. I'm not gonna act like it ain't. But one thing that has kept me going is obviously the support of my fiance and my friends and all that, and even some of you guys online, because I have talked about it in the community tab on YouTube and even briefly on Twitter as well.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of good guesses right now. Okay, I've seen he's getting spayed, he's getting circumcised, leg lengthening surgery, neovagina, BBL treatment. Okay.
You might already be aware of this, but basically, it's time to reveal actually what it is. And
so, any final guesses before Chibi reveals exactly what he's getting done? Penile enhancement, lobotomy, tonsils removed, second butthole, bottom surgery, sperm donation, moving third nipple, buccal fat removal. Okay, let's hear it.
It's so embarrassing. You guys are gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh in the comments, guys. Like, I go for it. It's fair. I would laugh too. I mean, I am laughing. It's that embarrassing and just, like, unbelievable.
Getting this gynecomastia sorted. Chemical castration, ball removal.
I laughed at it. Like, I laughed at the doctor when they told me. So, I have twisted testicular appendix. No, do not mistake that for testicular torsion. That's not what I have, okay? I do not have that. the appendix is what I said there. And yes, I did not add an extra word on. Apparently, this might be too much information for a lot of people, but apparently, guys have appendixes. Like, yeah, I'm just like, huh? Like, wait, I'm not joking. When the doctor told me this, my face, I got stunned. Like, I thought the doctor was like, at first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought the doctor was a quack. I was like, did he just say appendix? Like, what? Like, did the words follow after that? And he said appendix? I'm like, I've only ever heard of a ruptured appendix, like, you know, in the stomach, like liver or wherever region, basically. I don't know exactly where it's at in the body, but obviously up above, okay? Near, like, you know, your navel area. And when he said I had a twisted appendix, I was like, you sure you're not adding on words there? But he's like, no, apparently most guys have an appendix down there, an extra, like, part. And I'm like, why don't they teach this? Why don't they even talk about this? But yeah, apparently that's what's wrong with me, and to be fair, it's been very painful. I'm not gonna act like it hasn't. It's been pretty painful, and yes, the cosmic irony of this is not lost on me, especially as a guy that makes a lot of fan service posts and stuff like that. Feel free to laugh. It's fine. It's fair. Go for it. Meme on it. Whatever.
His cock's all fucked up. So that's the big reveal. Now, he's been on Twitter talking about this a little. So someone here says, damn, doctors couldn't fuck up this one time. Damn it. Quickly someone find which hospital. And he's saying, this breaks Twitter TOS, right? FBI might even get involved. Remember the last time someone threatened my life and it went viral?
I lived, guys. I think they might have taken one of my balls, but I don't know. I can't check right now, but they, just out, got an IV and everything. I'm gonna have to censor this in post. I don't want to share my information, but, yeah, it kind of hurts, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I lived, guys. I think they might have taken one of my balls.
Guys, I'm seeing something here. You see this image here? He says this photo was taken of him by his fiancée. Now, if that's his fiancée is fucking massive. I think that's your dad. I think you're calling your father your fiancé. It does look like a fat man's polo shirt. That's what I see here. I don't know how else you read this. Am I crazy on that? Anyway. I just wanted to show that because that was quite funny. He was spelling out over the last couple of days about that. But now we have a documentary, a hit piece to watch on him. Hour and 10 minutes long. Let's take a look.
There is huge censorship going on in gaming right now.
What I am really against is censorship.
Already getting worse in terms of the internet censorship.
Censorship. It's one of the biggest topics on the internet right now, and rightfully so. With payment processors exerting their massive influence over companies big and small, it seems like multiple countries around the world have chosen a similar time to start rolling out other types of laws and orders that may in fact threaten internet anonymity and freedom as we know it. Now, if you're at all familiar with the situation, you probably do not need me to re-explain all of it to you. But long story short, after a group called Collective Shout organized a mass brigade against payment companies like Visa and MasterCard for allowing companies like Steam or itch.io to sell inappropriate video games on their platform, these payment process companies flexed their muscles and essentially forced the company's hands into breaking their own TOS and removing, in certain cases, games that did not even fall under the radar that Collective Shout was originally trying to build. Now, say what you will about some of these absolutely egregious video games, it's when the blanket term of NSFW sometimes means games that have nothing to do with these topics getting banned as well. And when you also consider these are the same people that banned GTA 5 from Target in Australia and tried to ban Detroit Become Human of all fucking video games, it's easy to see how this could all become a slippery slope into wide arrays of mass censorship everywhere. We've also got things like the Online Safety Act and other
Dude,
laws
don't
being
even- why am I
brought
being
forth
reminded
or
this
passed that
exists?
require internet users to provide age verification, in certain cases even scan their actual identification or credit card to access websites like Discord, Wikipedia, and even Spotify, among other ridiculous things. And look, there are thousands of hours of content made from other people about why all of these laws can be bad and dangerous for the internet everywhere due to all the vague wording and poor clarification on certain terms. But that is not what this video is about. While internet censorship is a colossal problem that I think needs to be brought to light and a lot of us should be worried about, there is another just as large and dangerous issue that has come on the rise alongside all of this other madness. It's not really a new beast. In fact, it's been here the entire time, feasting on our people and poisoning our wells. However, in a world where ideas and freedoms are being taken away, this villain tends to only grow stronger in this atmosphere, actually gaining strength.
Am I crazy? Am I like, is my brain just totally fried? Is my brain totally fried? Why does this just sound like JQing to me? Why am I immediately thinking Jews the whole time? Why does this just make me think about Jews immediately?
Come on the rise alongside all of this other madness. It's not really a new beast. In fact, it's been here the entire time, feasting on our people and poisoning our wells. However, in a world where ideas and freedoms are being taken away, this villain tends to only grow stronger in this atmosphere, actually gaining strength as we, the people, lose it. It survives off of our worries, concerns, and the intrusive thoughts that keep us up at night. From exploiting our emotions, the creature engorges itself, inflating our fears and keeping us in a state of permanent unrest. This beast that I'm speaking about is, of course, known as the grifter. They are people who exist merely to stoke the flames of fear and worry and take advantage of those most vulnerable and easily swayed into believing their entire worlds are on fire, bringing up scares and concerns, some real, some not, all in order to continue drinking from the fountain that is your attention. All the while, they line their own pockets with wealth.
This creature is called a grappler.
Obviously, multiple levels and stages of grifters, but in this day and age, on the internet, the beast's range of prey has massively expanded. And while this isn't me saying that everyone raising alarm bells is a grifter, what I more so hope to accomplish out of this video is point out how in times of crisis, there are multiple bad actors that will emerge who, while also coming off as informative and helpful, are merely diabolical liars. They use this opportunity to insert their own dangerous ulterior motives into the information and the alarm ringing, making you lose sight of the real issues, putting a veil over you that not only leaves you constantly angry and upset, but completely blinded and tunnel visioned from the truth. There can be no solution.
It does just sound like anti-Semitism. Why does it all just sound like anti-Semitism?
Of the tunnel they take you down, as it can only continue to eat as long as you provide it with its food. Now, I want to make it clear, I don't normally do videos like this, nor do I really plan to in the future. Misinformation is just a really personally important thing to me, and I want to highlight some of these bad faith actors that I see in my own general outreach and hopefully explain to you why what these creators do is not only harmful, it's almost always out of either maliciousness or greed. Let's not waste any more time and get into how this whole internet censorship war has been hijacked by grifters, scammers, weirdos, and bottom feeders alike, all hoping to make you scared, angry, and blind to what's actually going on. Now, one of the most common threads of misinformation that can be found in this whole debacle is taking just some random, unproven tweet, headline, or social media post and making an entire video surrounding it, despite doing next to no research on whether that post was true or not. Because listen, the idea is to always make people feel overwhelmed and attacked at every single angle, completely hopeless in the face of whatever crisis, in this instance, internet censorship, that riles people up against companies, groups, and organizations that at times aren't even really doing what they're being accused of. For example, we've got our first subject here, Paper Bag Boy, who, in all honesty, is a small-time YouTuber that clearly exists as a bottom feeder to the larger radical grifters with more popularity than him. There are plenty of these people, and they really don't do much of their own quote-unquote content, and they mostly either just react to other people's content or react to other people's tweets. However, what makes these small-time grifters important is that they are able to further expand and disseminate the message of the larger grifters. They may not have as large of a reach, but they help normalize and also reach ears that the bigger grifters may not get to. Let's take a look into this guy's coverage around internet censorship.
So the age verification scam has now devolved into absolute nonsense. They are pointing this and targeting this at absolutely anything that they can to erase the anonymity from the freaking internet, to the point that now even NVIDIA graphics cards, your graphics card, your GPU is now locked behind age verification. You now need to be 18 years older to address settings on your freaking NVIDIA GPU graphics card.
So considering that this creator hasn't...
So Hellbent sent me this yesterday. I'll pull this up. This has to be addressed. Aiden had a gay little vape on stream yesterday, apparently. He had a very gay little vape. Little blue and red vape, little purple vape. Embarrassing to see this. Very embarrassing. Go outside and have a ciggy, little bro. Go outside and smoke a ciggy.
Had figured out how to use a noise limiter or just cut out the frankly insanely loud breaths from their audio gives you an idea of what kind of content we're walking into here. Not only is this NVIDIA graphics card story easily proven not true, you can take one Google search, find this out instantly that this is a fake story completely, and also the person that made this tweet has even said that they do not live in the areas that all of these laws are being created. So the entire concept of the video, complete lie. But let's see how this continues to develop here.
It is proven that this is not, something that is just, child safety anymore. It is now addressing things that just completely remove anonymity for no reason at all. Look at this.
I think it absolutely blows my mind that it is not only so easy to see that this is a false story, this person immediately just sees something that fits the worldview they are trying to see. Because again, this person could just be completely ignorant to all of this, right? They could just be completely freaking out about this censorship thing, just going with everything they see. Doesn't really make this a very reliable source of content, news, or anything. For one, considering there's no vetting of stories going on whatsoever. The basis of the story is from a tweet from some random profile. I don't even know who it is. They don't even have a real person in their avatar. That was only what I think the first minute or so of the video, the entire title of everything. Let's see what other sources Paper Bag Boy chose to use for the rest of this video.
Just to show you some more on this, V says, dox yourself to justify settings on your GPU, you fucking bigot.
Yeah, Mr. Obvious is the lolicon. Yep.
Anyone confirm this, by the way?
Oh, and it's a V as well. Fucking... Oh my god, it's a V tweet. Fucking V. Romanian Sargon lapdog.
I thought they were selling this just for a few people to watch porn.
Another tweet. But wait, the tweet asked for a source. So let's see what this source is. Let's see what it says.
And look at this, it turns out it's real. Of course it's real, because it's too ridiculous not to be real. You can't make this shit up, boys.
The reply from the exact same person just saying it's real. That's enough to be believed. And you want to know why it's enough to be believed? Because it's too good to make up. We are at like 5 levels deep in the irony dream layer at this point.
Elon Musk responds to NVIDIA graphics card app needing you to verify your age with ID or face scan.
All right, I could understand ChibiReviews falling for this trap. He's not too smart. However, Elon Musk, richest man in the world, now he's not too smart either, but there's no way something that is immediately proven false is co-signed by Elon Musk. I want to believe it, but I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I hate the world we live in. Now, I won't lie to you, Paper Bag Boy just basically goes on nothing but random tweets and tangents from this point on, so I'm going to move on. The one thing that I did want to bring up here that I think is interesting that almost every one of the creators that I'm going to talk about does today. We get a Grums mention here for a tweet that says, "Who the hell convinced the West and Japan that the modern audience exists? Zoomers are so tired of this crap, and Western companies are finally figuring out they were sold a bill of goods. Who did this? Fuck them all." What does that have to do with censorship? I wonder, right? Sure, you could argue that, oh, they're trying to censor video games and dark anime and manga, which you'll see is what a lot of these people actually believe is the point of all of this in order to achieve some Western, you know, castration agenda. It's interesting, though, the
Western castration agenda? Oh, no.
little bit of politics that these creators have begin to leak into this supposed alarm bell ringing, this supposed, oh my god, we all need to rally against this. This is happening and everyone understands this and everyone is finally waking up to this, which, yes, the internet censorship, as we talked about earlier, between the Online Safety Act, all of the age verification, all of the things happening with the video game platforms is genuinely crazy and can become a huge threat to us. However, for a supposedly global internet censorship problem, it seems like these people are highlighting one specific side of it to do with Western culture and anti-woke DEI agenda that this
That's
fake
facts.
modern
I don't give a fuck when people get black bagged and deported for talking shit about Israel. That's facts.
audience is destroying for these people, unless these people are purposefully pushing this agenda into their alarm bell ringing. They wouldn't be doing that, would they? Now, I know what you're saying. No op, this is just a 6,000 subscriber channel. This video only has 14K views. What's the big deal? First of all, we start small and we'll get bigger, okay? That's essay structure format 101. But also, it gives you an idea just how profitable it can be to cherry pick some random fake story.
I like this guy. This guy's video seems cool so far. This only got 6K views. Oh? What does he usually get? Oh, because he usually does like video essays on like anime and shit. But now he's done a random video just... he's a Gojo fan. Lots of videos about Gojo here. Good to see. Good to see.
And turn it into some breaking news for your audience. This guy barely breaks 10K views on any of his normal videos, and that's not a diss, that's just facts. He only ever manages to do anything above that number by covering controversy and drama. Obviously, he's not stupid. As a YouTuber myself, I know he, and I'm even aware, that the incentive is turn in anything he can into big-time drama for views, which is why he sees censorship content on the rise, finds some fake tweet that no one has talked about and is easily disproven, and packages it as part of this whole anti-censorship trend for a quick upload. No prior research, not even much editing on the video itself. Probably took this guy a total of an hour to make, and then moved from tweet to tweet, sometimes relevant, sometimes, as we saw, not at all, just to fill in watch time, and made money off of it. It might not be a lot of money, but you'll see those issues only get worse as the creators get bigger. For example, our next lovely participant in the misinformation wars is Smash JT, a former game tester.
Dude, he's got all my favorites here. All my favorites. Smash JT, ChibiReviews. Also, is this... I keep thinking, is this Paper Bag Boy? Is that... Who was the guy who had a paper bag head avatar? Commentary YouTube. Small commentary YouTuber had a paper bag head avatar. Kicked around during the Poppy and Xena. Oh, Toast Fries don't have a paper bag head. Toast Fries a toast head. Victor Burns. This must be a different guy. I think this is a different guy.
Tester supposedly for Sony and a former game master for EverQuest, a recruiter for video games all over the West Coast, and you know, a bunch of other former titles or current titles that he clearly thought were important enough to put in his channel bio, which for some reason can't help but make me remember someone recently. Listen, I don't know much about this guy either.
Did you cover Smash JT talking about dipping into his kid's college fund for the McCanty lawsuit? No way.
considering most of his content surrounds complaining about women not being hot in video games anymore, DEI, and anti-woke stuff. The reason I'm imagining the word former is in front of tester and game master is most likely because, well, he's probably not that creative. But with 115,000 subscribers and, once again, an inability to really hit 10K viewership on content that isn't talking about some kind of gamer drama or controversy, let's see if this even bigger verified creator is being any more faithful or serious about this internet censorship discussion, considering he just uncovered a bombshell that no one is talking about.
Pirate Nation on X.
Oh, just kidding. It's another tweet. Off to a good start already.
U.S. senators introduce new pirate site blocking bill called BlockBEARD. I brought it up here for us to go through because, yikes. The consistent word that I keep going back to is coordinated. Everyone is seemingly working together in government around the world with an attack on the freedoms of the internet. And it's very strange that it's all happening at the same time. This was just recently introduced. U.S. senators introduced new pirate site blocking bill, BlockBEARD, yesterday.
This whole no noise limiter, no cutting out the breaths in your audio just has to be a commentary YouTuber thing. I'm fully convinced. But you heard it here first from Smash JT. This is all one big global coordination between governments everywhere, regardless of their relationships, political affiliations, or current conflicts. Everyone is coordinating together to perform this level of censorship. And the BlockBEARD Act that Smash JT has just found proves this.
Efforts to introduce pirate site blocking to the United States continue with the introduction of BlockBEARD bill in the United States Senate. Aims to create a new legal mechanism to combat foreign piracy websites. The site blocking proposal seeks to amend U.S. copyright law, enabling rights holders to, there's no way that this could go bad, guys. Enabling rights holders to request federal courts to designate online locations as a foreign digital piracy site. If that succeeds, courts can subsequently order U.S. service providers to block access to these sites. Yikes.
Now, anyone with a brain immediately reading that probably is curious as to why Smash JT thinks that's a yikes. But we'll be here forever if we listen to this guy's explanation, so let me just summarize things for you. Okay. The BlockBEARD bill is a bill that was introduced back in May, which is basically just a revision of a bill that was brought back in January, and the entire idea of it is to give copyright holders and right holders the ability to essentially DMCA foreign websites and foreign content uploaders for their content. All it literally is the same way that a YouTube copyright system would work. If a copyright holder discovers that their content is uploaded in some foreign country for free and being pirated, the United States will be able to subpoena that foreign website and essentially give them, I believe it is about 3 weeks to a month to respond and essentially remove that copyrighted content the same way that a YouTube copyright strike would work. Frankly, it gives the foreign website even more time than a YouTube copyright strike would. And if they respond, then they get to keep the website. If that foreign website
I'm like against this because I think piracy is awesome. I think you should be able to steal people's movies and steal people's games. That's why I'm against it. But is Smash JT going to own that position, or is he going to say something retarded? Is he going to try and twist himself into a pretzel to make this make sense?
Does not respond and take down the material and they leave it up, then they will be marked as a foreign piracy site and they will be blocked from United States ISP users. Is this government overreach? It's definitely interesting considering that we are considering blocking websites. Let's see how Smash JT frames all of this, which is essentially just a bill to make sure copyright holders are able to DMCA foreign companies and websites.
They are trying so hard to take every single angle to create a silo around the world, silos of the World Wide Web, to make it just the web. And there will not be worldwide as a part of the www anymore. They should just start the websites with www.
Okay, that is not the goal. What are you talking about, man? What the fuck are you talking about?
Get rid of the www before the W.
If you would have guessed that online copyright meant we were losing our internet freedoms and access to the World Wide Web as we know it, then you are already a Smash JT viewer, and I don't believe you. You are cheating.
So this is for big corpos, movie companies, and Apple, Google, music
It's an
companies
incredibly stupid read.
to be able to stop, and obviously video game companies, that's the biggest one, to stop the ability for people to use the web to go outside of the shores of America to find, I don't know, the open seas that may have things that aren't available here for them.
Not even close.
Weird. Almost like they're making sure that the World Wide Web is not worldwide anymore, once again.
So I can kind of understand the framing of having.
So, yeah, you could bring up as an example. So here's something you could say. I think piracy should be allowed because a lot of the time there are arbitrary region locks and restrictions on who can buy which product, and piracy allows anyone to get a hold of any set of files as long as someone else is willing to cede it. Okay. Totally fine. Is a good argument for piracy being allowed and not having the websites blocked by courts. But you've got to kind of own that. You've got to own the pro-piracy position. You can't do this. But he's trying to instead turn it into this big conspiracy where everyone's like being isolated into like a Chinese-style internet pockets, you know? That's just not what's happening. It's not what this law does. It's not what's happening.
And I don't know, the open seas that may have things that aren't available here for them.
Not even close.
Weird. Almost like they're making sure that the World Wide Web is not worldwide anymore, once again.
So I can kind of understand the framing of having big corporations like Apple and Google being the ones that will primarily be using the service, because that's true. There's probably not going to be too many small-time creators or YouTubers that are getting their content stolen by foreign adversaries. However, it does happen. The idea that this is somehow stopping people from accessing websites outside of America to find the open seas of the internet and watch things that may not be available to them. Not only is that a flat out incorrect interpretation of the bill, he might as well have not even read what's on the article that he's supposedly explaining to his audience right now. Because besides looking at the actual bill, this article pretty much explains everything pretty clearly. But how much do you want to bet to see if Smash JT looks at the actual bill document at all in this video?
And all it is at the end of the day is another way to add more blocks on the internet to shut off areas that they want to, and then take this in the future and push it even further, because that's what they always do with this stuff.
We have definitely talked already about how a lot of this censorship stuff can become pathways to even crazier censorship down the line. However, this isn't necessarily a censorship law. This is a copyright infringement law that, again, we already have completely active in the United States right now. And if anything, this law is more lenient than the one we have on our own people. Say what you will about our ancient copyright system, and even say what you will about piracy. This is not anything new, despite Smash JT trying to frame it like it is.
At this stage, the court will determine whether it is technically and practically feasible for ISPs to block the site and consider any potential harm to public interest. How, like, again, how is this hurting anything? You can say, oh, you
It's
had
so rare that you see a video like this where the guy's actually making like pretty reasonable, like middle of the road arguments, you know? Very rare. Very rare.
10,000 copies of your game pirated. That cost us $500,000 of lost income. It's like, well, yeah, you're assuming that every single person that pirated your copy was going to go out and buy your game at full price on day one. It's like, no, that's not how this works. Most people were never going to buy the game in the first place. That's why they're pirating it.
So it's okay to commit felonies because no one was gonna buy the game anyway. What does this have to do with censorship? Because at this point, we're just getting Smash JT's personal feelings on internet piracy. The only people that I have to imagine that are falling for this are people that are already so lost in all of this censorship, anti-woke, DEI, anti-West drama that anything and everything can sound like a threat as long as you just don't do a minuscule of research behind it. And you're beginning to see a pattern here, right? Where we take a grain of salt of truth, the whole censorship fiasco, and begin to just throw everything at the wall that sticks. Because if you look at Smash JT's channel, this guy uploads at least 3 to 4 times a day. Hey buddy, JT, if you're watching this, just to let you know, when you upload more than 3 videos a day, YouTube blocks your algorithm and stops sending notifications because you are absolutely flooding people's timelines with uploads. You are actively hurting your channel. Just a little tip from me to you. If you really are just consuming this non-stop, you are getting constant rage bait.
Because if I do not get the money needed for this lawsuit, I genuinely don't know how we're going to proceed with it. Unless we start digging into my personal kids' college fund savings, which is not even that much. But I'm like, at this point, are we really going past $100,000 for someone saying you said mean words to me and now affecting my kids going to school for this? What are we fucking doing here?
Has Smash JT supported Ethan Klein's lawsuits at all? Yep. Get fucked.
Of just hatred and wrong information, and it's so much you don't even have time to question it. But like I said before, this overwhelming feeling is by design, and by throwing all of these different pieces of information at you, mixing in all of their weird anti-woke everyone is out to get you rhetoric, when everyone brings up censorship, that one nugget of truth that was in there to begin with, you immediately think of 10 other things that have led to this censorship fiasco, even though none of it is all related.
The BlockBEARD bill broadly applies to service providers as defined in Section 512K of the DMCA. This is which, by the way, anyone that is a YouTube creator dealing with this is the bane of your existence trying to create a YouTube video.
It's not, and it really shouldn't be if you're making fair use content. It probably is an issue if you don't have any originality or any creativity baked into things and you're just stealing other people's content and trying to monetize it. Then that sounds like the bane of somebody's existence. Good thing no one here does that, right?
The proposal states that providers have the option to contest their inclusion in a blocking order. Once an order is issued,
I'm stealing.
They would have the freedom to choose their own blocking techniques. There are no transparency requirements mentioned in the bill, so if and how the public is informed is unclear. Once again, the government is supposed to represent the people. Why are they not being transparent? Who is asking for this? And why are they not informing the public about it if this does go through?
Okay, is this not all gonna be like, surely a lot of this will be public. It's a court order, no? If they have to go through the court, I imagine it'd be in public.
This is crazy.
So unless you're an absolute knuckle dragger, you should have been able to figure out, just like you and I would as a YouTuber, be able to counterclaim any copyright strike that goes against us. Foreign websites will also have the ability to do that. Not only is this standard practice of some kind of law that we already have existing, in regards to the transparency, Smash JT makes this seem like a really big deal and that they're hiding things from us. All this means is that these copyright things can be handled privately. Every single time him or I get a copyright strike, we accept the strike and we just eat the strike.
I mean, well, I don't even know if it will be private, will it? If it's a court order, if they have to actually make decisions on it. I thought most of that shit goes public.
The content, or we prove our fair use and we get to keep the content up. Anytime that happens, that is not public information that is out there. You can't go to Google, look up the court document or police report, whatever term you want to use, copyright report, and that's all this is saying. For some reason, this is turned into, oh, they're hiding things from us. Why wouldn't they be transparent? What don't they want you to know? This is crazy.
The BlockBEARD Act will equip our nation with a tool that's worked in dozens of countries worldwide. Yeah, countries that aren't free like America, those countries, gotcha, bro.
I mean, what more can I even
So is he just against IP law then? Land of the free means no IP law?
say about that? If that doesn't show to you the level of bad faith that we're engaging with this kind of content with, to just immediately assume that the countries they're talking about are countries that aren't free. I mean, I could go on for longer, but I don't want to spend too much time because we've still got the main event to go. So to finish up with Smash JT, let me leave you with this clip that just shows you the amount of research he probably puts into almost every single upload he makes.
Because I was asking for more information from ChatGPT to search the web on it. And I said, give me details on this BlockBEARD thing. And it breaks it down here. And the designation, how it works, the blocking orders, all this. This is the big one. The bill doesn't specify transparency or public reporting requirements for how orders would be issued or administered. The RIAA and Motion Picture Association applaud the measure. And just like what I was saying earlier, opponents warn it risks slippery slope censorship through overblocking. As one Reddit comment puts it, the prospect of all VPN providers being required to block pirate sites is very scary indeed.
We ask ChatGPT to break it down for us, and when we get that breakdown, we scroll through all of it and get to the specific parts that we can highlight, that we can say, hey, look at this, there's no transparency. Look at this criticism of the bill that ChatGPT is breaking down for me, using a fucking Reddit comment as its source. That's how we're proving the slippery.
Fuck it, man. Just drop the question in ChatGPT. Don't check any of the sources. Scroll through for what you want, pure confirmation bias. Scroll through for the exact part of the text that you're looking for. Awesome. W.
Slope here. I hope I've been making it very clear that censorship is a slippery slope. However, this is as dry as I have ever seen it in my entire life. The very fact that this is constantly brought up by Smash JT as being introduced yesterday, or being introduced in this coordinated effort for everyone and all world governments to block the internet, and he reads it earlier in this video, his own video, this is just a revision of another bill that was brought up significantly earlier in the year, I think almost in January. So this doesn't have anything to do with what's going on. It does not paint a picture of a mass world government coordinated effort to block the internet. Whether you want to say that is currently happening or not, one thing's for sure, Smash JT does a piss poor job explaining it. Big creator, small creator, it seems fairly obvious that this is mostly surrounding the anti-woke Western gaming culture is under attack crowd. Rage bait has and still is their direct MO. Why? Clearly you can see from the view count, it's the only way they make money. I mean, Smash JT has been crying about free speech and censorship for over the last 7 years. Why would I take his word that it's all connected when he's thought this has all been one coordinated effort to make women not hot in video games since 2016? Obviously, the only way that the delusion can continue going is if this is also a part of that. When people are willing to just outright lie to make things seem worse than they are, why would I ever believe any of the other things that they're trying to push on me? The issue is, I'm not everybody, and a lot of people do fall for this. And it gets even worse when you're pulling in way more than 10K views of video. Which brings me to, in my opinion, the main event of this video, and one of the worst possible examples of internet grift that I could possibly shed light on, our third and final participant. ChibiReviews
is the whole rest of the video, Chibi. God bless.
A lolly YouTuber who's most well known for his greatest hits, like attacking and harassing the English voice actor of Okarun from Dawn to Dawn for having a black profile picture, supporting VTubers that have
Ken Takakura, Dawn to Dawn, English VA, supports blackwashing art. Also thinks white VAs can't voice POCs, but not vice versa. English voice actor again exposing racism and hypocrisy. Again showing we need to clean house the voice acting industry. Yikes. Fucking yikes! It's alarming how people don't see how racist that is. Please read. Every time there is a black actor casting a role in fantasy where the source material version is lighter skinned, someone always has something to say about it. It's so tiring. doesn't affect the character whatsoever. It's okay. Okay. Oh, why are you mad? Like, who cares? And you're pulling up, like, 3-year-old tweets as well to try and, like, get this guy. How is this not just, like, the exact sort of gay cancelling shit, just in the other direction? I'm literally saying we need to clean house.
Actor of Okaroon from Dawn to Dawn for having a black profile picture, supporting VTubers.
But you're not even showing the hypocrisy. They're not showing the hypocrisy. There's no hypocrisy here. They're not showing the tweet where he gives the contrary take to this. They're just accusing him. Thinks white VAs can't voice POCs, but not vice versa. How is the hypocrisy in the PFP? He's saying the race of the voice actor doesn't matter to the character. And then he's got a black PFP. Who cares? What's the problem? Where's the hypocrisy?
Actor of Okaroon from Dawn to Dawn for having a black profile picture.
No, you can assume, Spinal. You can spaz out and assume that this guy has a problem there. But I've not seen anything to suggest that's the case. Where is he spazzing out at people for doing whitewashed characters? Where is he doing that? I don't see that. I know his ilk, but okay, exactly. This is exact sort of degenerate, retard behavior you engage in, Spinal. The same shit these people do. Where you just imagine hypocrisy and use that to engage in hypocritical behavior. So, this scumfuck, and scumfucks like you, pedophiles like you, Spinal, and people like Chibi, will just imagine there's this crazy hypocrisy because they've got a narrative they want to push. So Chibi here is cancelling someone. He is engaging in cancelling behavior. He is quote tweeting something, telling people to clean house, pulling up this guy's tweets from 3 years ago, going fucking yikes, literally acting like a cancelling whore. Like a whore trying to get someone cancelled. That's how this fucking pathetic bitch is acting here. And the justification you and this scum is coming up with is, well, there's hypocrisy. Where's the hypocrisy? Well, I just know what they're like. You're filth. You're filth.
Asking the English voice actor of Okaroon from Dawn to Dawn for having a black profile picture, supporting VTubers that have expressed white supremacist views like Kirsch when they got cancelled for their literal own actions, and tries to frame it like free speech and different opinions being under attack.
This is very clearly a hostile
The dates were like 2022 and 2024.
Like, we're experiencing it in the US via illegal immigration. They're experiencing it in the UK via, like, the migrant crisis nonsense and refugees, which, potato, basically the same fucking thing. And it's like, our politicians are assisting these people with both demographic replacement as well as just making citizens' lives worse in general.
Yeah, but that is what the VA was saying. The VA was literally giving the take, who cares what race the voice actor is. That was the take he was giving.
Culture of these countries.
He's literally giving the take that these people are supposed to agree with.
It might not be a hostile takeover like you see in war. There's no guns and battleships and bombs, but it is still a hostile takeover.
Yup. Just free speech over here, constantly feeling the need to share his brave takes on how he enjoys Lolly, and that doesn't make him a PDF, and that
Spinal, it's not a matter of me not getting it, it's you engaging in motivated reasoning, because you are low IQ scum, and you just behave in a way that doesn't account for the truth, isn't trying to find like an honest, truthful take on the situation. You have a narrative, and a belief, and a goal, and you're just throwing shit at the wall. Your belief is there should be more naked children in cartoons. That's your belief, Spinal. So anyone that you think might be an SJW or against having naked children in cartoons, you will just slander and smear.
porn is actually pretty hot. All the while he admits to owning a half, I don't know what that means, erotic body pillow of Shiro, an 11-year-old girl from No Game No Life. Now, if ChibiReviews coverage of this entire censorship fiasco was as clear...
None of this is a matter... Spinal, if you think people should be able to draw whatever they like, then why is why are you spotting Chibi spazzing out this guy for having a black profile picture when you've got no contrary take? Literally zero contrary take to point to. You spot Chibi spazzing out over this guy's black profile picture.
Okaroon from Don to Don.
You don't actually think that. You don't actually think, I think people should draw whatever they want. No, you think that people who draw things you don't like should be driven into the dirt, and people who draw naked kids should be held up on a pedestal. That is what you think.
Black profile picture, supporting VTubers that have expressed white supremacist views like Kirsch when they got canceled for their literal own actions, and tries to frame it like free speech and different opinions being under attack.
This is very clearly a hostile takeover. Like, we're experiencing it in the US via illegal immigration. They're experiencing it in the UK
Spinal,
via...
you're not telling me what his problem is, because you haven't pointed to the hypocrisy.
Like the
Chibi's problem is he is a dishonest piece of shit liar. That's Chibi's problem. There is no reason to believe there's hypocrisy there. They have not shown that. He's just a fucking grifting, lying piece of filth.
Migrant crisis nonsense and refugees, which potato, basically the same fucking
Spinal,
thing.
the issue is you're not saying anything of worth. I understand everything you're trying to say, you fucking idiot. I understand. You're trying to say, he's an SJW, he must be hypocritical. But that's just gesturing at imagined hypocrisy. You haven't shown any evidence, you fucking idiot.
And it's like, our politicians are assisting these people with both demographic replacement as well as just making citizens' lives worse in general. They're changing the entire culture of these countries. It might not be a hostile takeover like you see in war. There's no guns and battleships and bombs, but it is still a hostile takeover.
Yep, just free speech over here. Constantly feeling the need to share his brave takes on how he enjoys lolly, and that doesn't make him a PDF, and that...
Spinal, we've gone over all your chat messages. You said it's a hypocrisy point. And then I said, how do you know it's hypocritical? There's nothing hypocritical here. And you said, because I know his ilk. You are gesturing at an imagined hypocrisy because you assume this guy's beliefs based on the type of person you think he is from seeing a Twitter profile picture. That's what you're doing, Spinal.
Porn is actually pretty hot. All the while he admits to owning a half, I don't know what that means, erotic body pillow of Shiro, an 11-year-old girl from No Game No Life. Now, if ChibiReviews coverage of this entire censorship fiasco was as clear, concise, and honest as the other bigger creators that he's probably just following suit on, like Moist Critical or Some Ordinary Gamers, I probably wouldn't have even clicked on any of his videos. So imagine I'm just a random person looking for information on this censorship topic, and I come across this video. Look, what's the first thing that I would see?
How did we get to this point to...
So, Spinal, again, the exact thing I said. You looked at his Twitter profile. You know he's a voice actor, and you said, well, he must be a hypocrite. You are worthless. You're a worthless fucking idiot. Everyone knows you're pointing towards a stereotype that all voice actors are, you know, super woke and they just want to ruin all your fun and take away all the fucking child rape games. Everyone knows you think that stereotype exists, Spinal. We all know the stereotype you're pointing to. You're still not providing any evidence, you fucking idiot.
Where a real-life government is now classifying, and I'm not joking when I say this, the one-piece straw hat pirate flag as a terrorist symbol. How have we gotten here?
As per usual, we are
If you showed me the evidence of him taking the hypocritical position, that's what would change my mind, you fucking idiot.
Out the tweet
What do you
to
think?
start the video off.
If there was a tweet where he said, I don't think white people should play black characters. If there was a tweet where he said, I think it's really bad that people draw black characters as white.
Honestly, one look...
If there was evidence of him being a hypocrite, You know, the thing I was asking for, you fucking idiot?
This, and it just seems like a story that if it's not fake, there's probably a lot of information that's being left out. Which, spoiler alert, there is much more to the story, and it goes way more in depth than out-of-touch governments just not liking anime and labeling pirate symbols as terrorist symbols. And I'll definitely be getting into why Chibi was wrong about his take on the straw hat flag in Indonesia, but let me show you the real clip that actually spawned this.
I'm just gonna say, I might be crazy when I say this, but if you look at my videos I've been uploading for the last week or so, I've been talking about the subject a lot. And there's always a chance maybe the video just didn't do well. That's fine. But as soon as I name dropped YouTube negatively, like 2 days ago, talking about them introducing ID, forced ID.
And now he's gonna start coming up with some fucking conspiracy about how YouTube's putting the fucking knee on his neck because he said something bad about them. Bro, this guy is literal fucking filth.
Suddenly, my videos after that now have had half the views on these.
Oh my god.
Completely cut. And I looked at the analytics for my video, okay? That came out yesterday about the same topic.
Subhuman.
Very important. Suddenly, half. Just straight up half. And I saw the line go like this, and then it in the analytics. I'm just like, that's very strange. Very strange for my videos. That does not happen. And once again, maybe just the video left the algorithm. I don't know. It's possible. It is. Because I don't have proof for this. But it is strange that suddenly when there is a big conversation around censorship and then even YouTube being brought into question.
Yeah, me when I flop. Oh, my videos don't usually do this. This doesn't make any sense.
My video just... kind of weird.
Yeah, they're all within a pretty reasonable range.
Just such a weaselly little liar. And it should be obvious by now that—
So, wait, it wasn't a matter of oh, my video suddenly dropped off. No, you had a huge spike. This was a gold rush content period for you. The gold rush ended, and now you're back to normal.
just such a—
It's that happens. Yes, when you're covering topics, daily topics, yeah, sometimes you hit, and you obviously knew you hit a run of good topics, that this was a high-interest topic, because you made fucking 20 videos on it. Sometimes this happens. You hit a topic that is very interesting to a lot of people, you milk it, it's a boom, and then you have to readjust back to having lower viewership afterwards. Very common YouTuber cycle here.
Just such a weaselly little liar. And it should be obvious by now that these creators just make their entire livings off of controversy. They literally wouldn't exist without it. While he's not struggling to break 10K like the mini-me's, I promise you, he isn't cooking up over 100K view videos often. Which is, by the way, what pretty much almost every video he's made on that topic has gotten. He even mentions that he's heard other creators have this problem, and even that some other creators haven't gotten paid over the last few days. Which, yes, there were ad revenue issues over the last couple of days, but this happens sometimes, right? This is not the first time it's happened, so I'm not sure.
And there's, always a notification on your fucking YouTube studio page about it saying, hey, you're having issues calculating ad revenue at the moment, bear with us. Yep, it's not uncommon, not crazy.
Why we're taking this and adding it into everything else. The pinned comment also begs everyone to like, comment, and share to make sure the video doesn't get shadow banned, which is just clown behavior when you realize it's one big fat lie. But let's get back to this video's main point, which was the Indonesian government listing the straw hat flag as a terrorist symbol.
How did we get to this point to where a real-life government is now classifying, and I'm not joking when I say this, the one-piece straw hat pirate flag as a terrorist symbol?
I don't know. Maybe you should look it up and find out.
Now, we have this. We have a situation...
Yeah, so what actually happened in Indonesia? What did they even do with it? Also, the idea that you're I'm sorry, it's so cringe. Indonesia have outlawed the straw hat pirate flag. I'm not going to look into why at all. Zero mention of people getting deported from America for being anti-Israel. Zero mention of, Palestine action being fucking prescribed in the UK. He does not... no giving a fuck about any actual free speech issues. It is just... this one thing that happened in this fucking Indonesia that has like no relevance to anyone in the West. But oh, my anime, and I can pretend it's so crazy.
We have a situation where there is now, like, apparently rebellion and people are dissatisfied with governments.
Hysterical. I don't know. I find it funny that the champion of free speech, the bastion holding the West together, when actually looking at real rebellion in a country, finds it humorous and nothing else. Looking at real rebellion in a country finds it humorous and nothing else that the flag is an anime flag, looks no further into it, and essentially ignores it to continue talking about how anime in the West is in danger. Yeah, real freedom fighter over here. His priorities are in check. The real story is a lot more simple and pretty easy to explain. The people of Indonesia are unhappy with their government as of right now. As a show of protest, they have been flying Jolly Rogers from One Piece as opposed to the national flag for Indonesia. Now, obviously, calling the One Piece flag a terrorist symbol is absolutely ridiculous. However, it's not because of some push to censor anime or some global cabal of old geriatric politicians that just don't understand the symbol and are acting rashly. These politicians want to keep unity in the country and are shutting down creative expression and protest in order to do so. You can definitely criticize that, and that is a story and a whole YouTube video right there for you.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, sure. I mean, if you're gonna cover this story, why not do it properly? Why not do it properly? Go into figure out exactly what's happening, why it's been banned. Because it's like worse if you explain it, right? It plays into his gay fucking anti-woke narrative to be like, oh, they're banning anime. When really the actual story is way worse. The actual story is far more of an infringement on free speech, where there's like student protests against incumbent government that people are sick of. And they ban a usually innocuous symbol that's being used by students as like a sign of protest.
But instead, this poor country's protest is turned into a joke that Chibi is able to use as fodder to fill his censorship against anime agenda. What this shows is that Chibi isn't afraid to highlight the worst sounding parts of a story and refuse to elaborate on them or really clarify them whatsoever to his audience in a meaningful way, only serving to twist the stories into massive controversies that they're all gonna eat up. And of course, you already know he's using the exact same moves from the playbook as the creators from earlier. Random tangents that realistically have nothing to do with the topic at hand. Censorship is definitely scary, but it's even scarier when it's targeted censorship against a group that most of his audience members reside in. So while editing this video, Chibi actually commented on the Indonesian flag situation again. So for the sake of integrity, it would be bad faith not to show you how much Chibi's knowledge on this situation has evolved.
A few days ago, the Straw Hat Pirate flag from One Piece was labeled a terrorist icon.
Also, I haven't showed all stream. Guys, now's a great time to remind you, 340 people here, 60 likes on the stream. Some of those 280 people, please move the cursor to thumbs up and clicking it, or pressing the thumbs up on the mobile device. That'd be hugely appreciated. If you want to take your support one step further, you can do it directly through a Stream Elements link in the pinned chat message. You can also buy a membership to the channel, gift a membership to the channel, gift a whole bunch of memberships randomly throughout the chat, buy a super chat, which will highlight your message and read it on TTS, or buy a super sticker, which is a YouTube image or GIF that'll be highlighted in chat, that'll subscribe it to you. You can go to discord.gg/Kuihman, twitter.com/Kuihman, or reddit.com/r/Kuihman. Thank you. Also, I'll do a goal, epic goal, going in the chat, guys. Epic goal, :D.
Or an extremist symbol within Indonesia, which caused obviously a lot of conversation around it, but there has been an update to the story since it happened a few days ago. The Indonesian president apparently made an official comment on it and said that it's completely fine if you rep the Straw Hat Pirate flag and raise it during Independence Month, which this is just overall, this is some welcome good news after just a series of bad news after bad news. But it is honestly insane. It's an insane moment to really think that we're in a point of reality right now where you have to have a president of a country literally say it's okay to use the Straw Hat flag, to raise the Straw Hat flag in our country on Independence Day.
Not one single bit, even after people in his audience brought up that he was wrong about it. Which, I guess if you're just reading the tweets and filling in all the blanks yourself, that would make sense. But get this, Chibi received on-the-ground information.
So, Spinal, I hope you realize this tweet you're sending me is not remotely hypocritical, right? This does not actually contradict. So apparently this is about a white actor stepping down from a role to let a black actor play it or something, or like a person who's the same color as the character. And this guy says, perfectly put, what's lost in translation is there were decades where white folk were quite literally the only folk who got to play anybody. Black people and other minorities weren't getting the auditions for their own races. So he's not saying here that you shouldn't play it. He's not mad that a white person is playing a character. And the position he took before, if we go back, what minute are we at? 36:40. The position he took before is every time there's a black actor cast in a role in fantasy where the source material version is lighter skinned, someone always has something to say about it. So tiring. Doesn't affect the character whatsoever. It's okay. So these don't contradict. So here he's saying it sucks that black actors didn't get the roles for a long time, like literally didn't even get a chance to audition for them. And here he's saying you shouldn't get upset just because a character is of the wrong race. Or a mismatched race to the actor. So these don't contradict.
Profile picture supporting citizens. So I'm sure with that, he'll be able to correct the record.
However, there is some doom and gloom to this, sadly. There is talks from people.
He's agreeing with the take that it's better to let POCs play POC characters. Okay, and? He's not saying they shouldn't be allowed. No one's saying they shouldn't be allowed. He's saying, well, we start from a position of black actors get to play no characters. Now black actors get to play some characters. And he's saying, letting black people in is a good thing. He's not saying, don't let white people play characters. That's not what he's saying.
Within Indonesia that said that this obviously could be lies, or at the very least that some of the politicians and stuff within Indonesia might not listen. Now, I don't know if this is true. Obviously, I don't live there, so I can't really say. I'm just going to be blunt. But this is what I've been told from some people that live in Indonesia.
Look, it is extremely doubtful.
So uneven. Very off-putting.
Thank you for the $5. He's not just saying because they relate to them more. That's not what's being said. He's just saying that there were white people got to play literally every character, and black people got to play no characters. Maybe you should just let black people in and let them play some of their characters. That's all he's saying. But that's not contradictory.
That you talk to anyone living in Indonesia and they didn't explain to you the whole story behind it, meaning Chibi is either lying here in general about talking to people that live in Indonesia.
He's not saying only black people should play black people. He's not saying that. That's not in this tweet at all. That's not what he says here.
Or he's intentionally leaving out the full story to make things sound more sensational. Really, no matter what way you look.
That guy is not saying that. Even this guy is not saying it. He's saying the status quo should be, I assume, I can't see the rest of the tweet. I'm assuming that's what he's saying. He's saying the status quo should be that generally you play the characters are played by people who match the race. Because that's how it generally operated for people that weren't black before. Right? The general status quo should be that characters are matched to the race. That's not saying should never happen otherwise. He's saying, but the assumption is like white character, white person, black character, black person. Maybe someone does a white person has a really good black voice, and you want to put them as a black person. Maybe a black person has a really good white voice. You want to put them as a white person. But the status quo should probably generally be, you assume, you know, you're kind of looking for someone that matches. That's totally reasonable, and that's not saying you shouldn't be allowed to do it. It's not saying you should be upset if it happens. Does not contradict with his other statement at all.
Look at it, kinda sus. I wonder if he handles all of these censorship bills with that much integrity.
And I want to talk about, in general, what this Online Safety Act is doing. Pirate Nation outlined this, and there's some things I want to talk about here. He brought up all these different things that's going on, and one thing in particular was this one that stood out to me. The required age verification for video games exceeding 2 hours. Basically, screen time limits. And when I read this, I legit, I'm not gonna lie, I chuckled to myself because I thought it was just so, it was so insane. I didn't want to believe it was possible.
I'm auditioning for Barrett.
And I scrolled down just to see, okay? And there is a community note here. And I clicked it and I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna confirm that something's wrong here. This man usually posts accurate information.
I know, you literally are so enraged that you don't even know what the conversation is at this point. It's a character not sharing the same race with their VA, so why is it a problem when it's a white man doing a black man, but not vice versa? Who's saying it's a problem? This guy's just saying the assumption, the status quo, should generally be matched. That should be the base assumption, is you get someone that matches. That's not what he's saying. Show me where he says that they shouldn't be allowed, or it's wrong for a white person to play a black person. He's saying the status quo should be the assumption that you sort of are matching races.
Just curious. So I find the article that's linked here, apparently talking about the 2-hour screen time limit. And I go to it, and it is an official article. There is actual talks for screen time limits and stuff, and it's definitely going to be brought up later this year, apparently. If you scroll down,
only keep this going. It's final. Do not send me this next tweet unless it actually says what you need it to say. We're not doing another 10 minutes going over a tweet that doesn't prove your point, just to show that it doesn't prove your point.
Wanting to bring it up. So, the government, UK, and people probably in Europe as well, are currently discussing 2-hour time limits for people online.
Oh, that's weird, because the way it frames everything definitely makes it seem like all of this is in the bill. So the tweet was wrong then, or at the very least, sprinkling in a little bit of truth and then throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall to get you scared shitless. Sounds like some other people that we've talked about. It's good though that Chibi read that community note, because now he'll be able to let his audience know that this is a bad tweet.
Point of the matter is that Pirate's post here isn't necessarily inaccurate.
Wait, huh? It's not?
This technically has been proposed. It's not wrong here. It doesn't mean that it's in the bill, but judging by how they were able to get something like this to pass today and how wide of a net and effect it is having now, it's very obvious that most likely this is going to pass.
Now, it seems like Chibi has never really done any type of research, study, or any kind of attempt to gain knowledge on the topics that he discusses. So you can't really blame him for not knowing. If my news is framed in a way such as it gives the person that wrote the news plausible deniability to say, well, you know, it was proposed, and, you know, since they passed this, at first glance, it looks like he's saying everything is in the bill, and we had to pry that clarification out of the community notes. Personally, that's not what I would describe as a very reputable news source. So it's not in the bill, but it's not necessarily inaccurate, because the Secretary of State, out of everybody in Parliament that he would have to pass this through, talked about maybe thinking of it once. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like pretty vague wording to me, all to just excuse that this tweet was lying. Hasn't most of these creators' videos been based off of the censorship war being sprung from vague wording? Would these creators give the same benefit of doubt to a news source that went against their narrative? It seems like definitely not. So why is this one still trustworthy? Is it because it's saying what we want it to when your whole entire MO is fear-mongering? Well, I mean,
you have the situation where there has been people literally arrested in UK and in Europe for posting memes online. I mean, here's just a random Asmongold video actually from earlier this year. I'm just gonna play the beginning of this. I'll just let him read it to you.
Asmongold, the bastion of truth. I'm sure this is definitely relevant to censorship.
6 British officers arrest 2 parents in front of their children for criticizing a school. So this is
literally arresting parents for criticizing a school.
The more you watch, the more you just see that Chibi not only just takes everything he sees at face value, that he already intrinsically believes, by the way, immediately disavows and fights against anything he thinks is wrong or might take his lolly away from him. But I think that's part of the problem that I'm trying to address in this video. All of the people a part of this crowd are just so goddamn gullible. Either that or it's completely and outright intentional, which, besides being despicable, I want to put a pin in for now, because I promise you, we'll be getting to why I think it's completely intentional for a lot of these guys, including Chibi, in a little bit. If you were expecting Chibi to maybe look into the story whatsoever and make sure he's using this as a proper reference, I don't know how you made it this far into the video. The UK does have issues with free speech. They don't have the same kind of laws that United States do. People do get arrested for obscene jokes, inappropriate memes, stuff like that. However, this is not one of those times. One Google search.
Okay, what is the story gonna be? Classic bit here. Anytime some dipshit American scumfuck like Asmongold or Chibi brings up some quote-unquote free speech issue in the UK, there is like an 80% chance they're completely misportraying it in one of the most disgusting ways imaginable. So, what's it going to be this time?
Which is just the phrase that is holding up the...
No, I've always said the Countdown Killer thing is wrong. The Countdown Killer thing was totally wrong. It's just sometimes people misportray it. People sometimes lie about what happened there. They say Countdown Killer got fined for making his pug do a Nazi salute. That's not why Countdown Killer got fined. Countdown Killer got fined for saying G the J's in a video. It was because he kept saying G the J's in that video. That's why he got fined. It wasn't teaching the pug the salute that was the problem. It was saying G the J's on video repeatedly. Which again, I don't think you should get fined for. But it's not quite the same thing, is it?
World with rubber bands, tissue papers, and band-aids, you can literally see that no one was arrested or charged. The police were sent to investigate a harassment case because the parents, the ones that Chibi is so worried about here, were mass emailing, social media berating, and harassing the school and staff over a teacher that was chosen to be employed that these parents did not like. After being banned from entering the school campus due to previous conflicts of harassment, they tried to get into the school under...
Yeah, because these fucking losers just say, oh, Count Dankula got fined for teaching his dog to a Nazi salute. So that's not what happened. That ain't what happened.
The guise of seeking proper care for their epileptic daughter, to the point the staff actually felt threatened and the school had to call the police, and they felt inclined to at least investigate the situation. Now, you can definitely argue that they had no right and, oh, these people are, you know, pussies for having their fifis hurt and calling the police, but you know what? They would probably have a lot in common with you, Chibi, if that was the case. You have to remember, the family are the people that went to the press in the first place. Don't you think it's a little suspicious that the only WhatsApp messages they submitted to the newspapers were the ones that made them look good? But, you know, censorship bad. Speaking of which, let's check in on how that global cabal is mobilizing after the Online Safety Act passed.
After all this happened in UK, in under 24 hours, once that happened, once this law came into effect, it wasn't used to protect kids. They started to create an entire situation where they were starting to monitor. They made a police monitoring task force to go to people's doors to basically arrest them or question them if they say anything that is against what the government actually wants you to say. So basically, they're using the law that was meant to protect kids to now censor people online if they have anything that goes against what the government wants you to say. Scary stuff. Basically, the UK overnight turned into...
Okay, I don't know who timed out Cunny Blast. BBC seems to say it was the pug video. It was the pug video. He wasn't fined for teaching his pug a Nazi salute. He was fined for, in the pug video, saying G the J's repeatedly.
A massive police state.
How fast do you think this one's gonna get disproved? Is it kind of scary sounding that there is a specific elite task force of police monitoring anti-migrant posts online? Sure. However, I don't know if Chibi understands what monitoring means, and I also don't think he understands that if the government wanted to track your anti-migrant racist posts, they could have done this way before the Online Safety Act passed. I mean, we quite literally just got done hearing you talk about a story of parents getting arrested for WhatsApp messages, and that was 4 months ago. When you look at this exact article, due to massive protests and riots that have been happening over the last year, what they're doing is they are setting up a task force of police to monitor, not censor, not take down, not go to people's doors and arrest them, as Chibi is insinuating. While of course you do have the UK laws where things like that can happen, what Chibi is suggesting here is that they made a special task force to turn the United Kingdom into a police state using the Online Safety Act that just took effect, and stop anyone from giving any kind of different opinions lest you have your door knocked on and arrested.
Finding Kuihman £800, the sheriff told him, "The centerpiece of your video consists of you repeating the phrase, G the J's, over and over again as a command to the dog, which the dog then reacts. Use the command, see Kyle." Having trained the dog to raise its paw in response, the video shows a clip of a Nuremberg rally and a flashing image of Hitler with strident music. You also say the video was only intended as a joke to upset your girlfriend, whose dog you used, and nothing more. On the whole evidence, I found it proved the video posted using a public communications network was grossly offensive and contained menacing, anti-Semitic, and racist material. The fact you claim in the video and elsewhere that you only intended to annoy your girlfriend as a joke, not intended to be racist, is of little assistance to you. A joke can be grossly offensive. A racist joke or a grossly offensive joke doesn't lose its racist or grossly offensive quality merely because it's obviously I tell you think this is retarded, fine and for. But the point is, it's not just about the fucking Nazi salute. The thing that is constantly cited in these cases are the things he was saying. Sieg Heil, G the J's, using Hitler imagery. It was not about the pug doing the fucking gesture. It's about the shit he was saying. So yeah. Yep, I've said a million times. I obviously totally disagree with Count Dankula being fined for this. But people always say, oh, he got fined for just teaching his dog to do a Nazi salute. That's not what he got fined for. It's not what he got fined for.
Arrested. You want to not take down, not go to people's doors and arrest them, as Chibi is insinuating. While of course you do have the UK laws where things like that can happen, what Chibi is suggesting here is that they made a special task force to turn the United Kingdom into a police state using the Online Safety Act that just took effect, and stop anyone from giving any kind of different opinions lest you have your door knocked on and arrested. In actuality, all they're doing is monitoring social media to find anybody who's planning on committing any violent hate crimes at anti-migrant protests or just in general. Something that I promise you they already were doing. It's just now there's a dedicated task force for it. The online safety law would not give these people any additional rights to infringe upon your privacy that they didn't already have. Unless you're a racist planning to do a hate crime, you really shouldn't be worrying about that. I learned in elementary school, anything you put on the internet is forever and can harm your reputation. It's not like hiding behind an anime profile picture has ever stopped anyone from getting arrested for hate crimes, which Chibi seems to understand pretty well when it comes to his defamation lawsuit. So why is he acting like none of this could happen before?
They like to think they can hide behind an anonymous profile, but it's very easy for information to be gathered, especially when the FBI is involved.
That's weird.
So we can already tell Chibi does not understand how the Online Safety Act works. Let's see his takes on the Kids Online Safety Act, a similar United States law.
So this right here, as you can see on screen, that it's been on the screen since the very beginning, is called S1748.
I covered the Java video on Kick the other day.
Kids Online Safety Act. And I am talking about the situation because it's incredibly important, because this bill, ironically enough, is titled the exact same way as the bill that just came into effect in the United Kingdoms. But we got to get into what this bill actually is.
Somehow, I doubt that's what we're gonna do.
So at this current time, this bill was introduced relatively recently. It's just only been introduced. It hasn't even passed Senate, hasn't passed House. It's not even been to the president. It hasn't become law. But one of the big things I want to talk about when it comes to this bill that was introduced is that this is the very same government that is refusing to release the Epstein files, the Epstein list, while the whole Epstein stuff is going on. Like, let's...
I wonder if Count Dankula is allowed in the US due to the DOJ being so strong in anti-Semitism these days. Well, they're not actually strong in anti-Semitism, are they? They call it anti-Semitism. It's not really what it's about, is it? Pretty sure Count Dankula, as much as he might make jokes about the Jews, dislikes Muslims much more, so I'm sure he's pro-Israel enough to get into the US.
Think about that for a second, okay? We have this whole controversy in July, and still ongoing right now, with Epstein's list being released, for everybody to see what's going on, to see the criminals that have gotten away with some heinous acts. We have literally our government trying to make it hush-hush, or try to act like you're a conspiracy theorist for even wanting to talk about it. And then, as soon as this all happens, suddenly payment processors, collective shout, and all these different governments just decide to, hey, we gotta start censoring the internet and think of the children. It's clear what's going on.
For risk of getting too personal here, I just find this absolutely hysterical, simply because of the way that Chibi phrases this here. Now, not that I want to turn this into a political witch hunt. I don't know about you if you've been keeping up with the news, but I've noticed there's plenty of people in the government that are trying to get the Epstein files released, trying to bring notice to the Epstein files that they're getting swept under the rug. And it really wholeheartedly seems like there's only one person and all of the stooges beneath him that are trying to stop this list from getting unveiled. So why does Chibi keep trying to phrase this as a both sides?
The amount of deflection our government is trying to do to cover up the Epstein files should concern everyone. Both sides are trying to get people to stop talking about it. No, they're not. If it was only Trump on the list, yeah, so both sides are not trying to get people to stop talking about this. Democrats are actually hammering it like crazy. Democrats want people to talk about this more and more and more.
Issue. Well, that's because he voted for Trump. And for all the people that are gonna say the Democrats had plenty of time to release it, like it's some counter argument that somehow takes...
Democrats didn't care. Democrat voters don't give a fuck about the Epstein files. They just know that MAGA give a fuck.
Blame off of Trump for being the one and sole person for trying to hide these files. Let me ask you a question. Jeffrey Epstein was killed August 10th, 2019 under the Trump presidency. You're gonna tell me that the Democrats had all of that dirt on Trump the entire 2020 election, didn't use it, they had it during all of COVID, didn't use it, then didn't use it again to try and win the 2024 election, and only after the Democrats lost in 2024 are they trying to go on this political hoax witch hunt against the president that they had multiple attempts, probably much better opportune, to take him down on. Now, this might sound like it has nothing to do with anything and I just got on my soapbox for you for an hour, but it shows me exactly where Chibi's priorities lie, especially when you hear him pussyfoot and both sides around Epstein, but take such a hard and aggressive stance on all of these bills and laws he clearly hasn't fully read. For someone that claims to care so much about censorship they are utterly politically neutral on the topic according to them, it's weird to me how many of these topics Chibi does next to no research on, completely just outright misinterprets, doesn't actually care about some of the actual anti-censorship stuff that's going on, or just changes the narrative of it to fit his agenda, and somehow finds the time to, amongst all of this, make it seem like it's a both sides all government issue as opposed to one man standing in the way of justice. You know, the president that Chibi voted for, the president that made executive orders to remove improper ideology from the Smithsonian Museum, the one whose defense secretary is trying to have the Navy strip the name of a person he doesn't like from a ship, the same president whose administration has been recently firing judges with no cause whatsoever just because they don't bend the knee, and the very same president that spent the last 4 years contesting actual official election results with absolutely no
this
evidence
guy's
and
talking
multiple
sense.
lost lawsuits in regards to it, which resulted in his fired up base storming the Capitol in what was almost a violent insurrection, only for him and his supporters to then turn around, acted like it wasn't them that attempted the insurrection, claiming it was all people pretending to be his supporters. Yet at the same time, when he gets the presidency back, he pardons all of the people that supposedly weren't there. It doesn't matter what political
just missing the fake elector plot. You should have thrown that one in there.
Side you're on. I don't judge either way. But when it comes to censorship, there's clearly alarms that should have been ringing way before this, and it wouldn't have been because hentai or lolly was at risk. Yet Chibi voted for this man after all of that happened, and still somehow is unable to say with his full chest that it's Trump stopping the Epstein files. This is not me attacking Chibi for his political views, and the reason I think this is important to the discussion, it really gives you an idea of where Chibi's priorities lie. Do any of these people actually care about censorship, or do they only care when things they support get censored? Because so far, not just ChibiReviews, but everyone that we've talked about in this video has done nothing but cherry pick articles and completely twist words around to make laws, bills that haven't been passed yet, or just small statements and out of context clips and stories to seem like one big coordinated effort on behalf of world governments to censor the World Wide Web as we know it. The only people that seem on the same page, completely coordinated, and constantly pushing ulterior motives are these guys. I mean, truly, how far gone do you have to be to believe Collective Shout and the world governments are collaborating? And after everything that I just talked about, it gets even weirder, because put Collective Shout and the President of the United States on a scale. Whose censorship agenda do you think you should be more concerned about? Keeping all of that in mind, let's go back to ChibiReviews' coverage on this situation. And I want you to ask yourself, is this just ignorance?
And these optics that these, politicians, the Attorney General, and all that are using is a cover to get away with this. To use the statement of, think of the children. It's not good. It's very shady, and it really disgusts me how many are doing this, because it's the exact same wording that the UK did. It is the same thing they said, they kept pushing, and then we saw within 24 hours of the law passing, monitoring task force for adults. And it's very obvious that was not for kids. So, I think I rest my case on that one.
It's even funnier watching these clips back now after debunking the previous stories, because we already know that's not how that works, but he's so confident about it.
And these governments obviously are not using verification and ID and stuff in a way to protect kids. It is restrictions for adults. It is to gather information on adults. But the thing is if they're grabbing all this data from you and they're actively getting your, identification on these different sites, it builds a internet footprint. It builds, a footprint on what you've been doing, and they're able to know what you're saying, what political party you're on, what side you're on, how you feel about something. It's obviously going to be used as, to, see what you're doing. Surveillance, basically. That's what's going to happen.
Again, criticize the police state that we already live in, but none of this is new information, despite Chibi making it seem like it is to his audience. It's almost starting to seem like he really doesn't understand anything about these bills at all. But I'll save you the guessing game, because I definitely know Chibi hasn't even read anything in this bill. Do you want to know how I know?
Once again, this gets into my discussion I had yesterday. Parental controls are there for a reason. They have been there for decades. Parents should be parenting their kids. It shouldn't be the government. Parents should stop being lazy. What's the point of parental controls on all these devices if we're not using them?
That's a really good question, Chibi. How about you ask the Kids Online Safety Act, the bill that you are literally telling us about right now, that if you knew literally anything about, you'd know it includes mandatory parental controls for most of these websites to ensure parents can control the websites that their children go to. Most of the censorship settings and screen time restrictions that Chibi is about to bring up are all completely controlled by the parents, which, if everything he just said wasn't embarrassing enough, it's even worse when you listen to him try to sow the seeds of worry over screen time restrictions that are completely optional.
But then things start to become very questionable when you start realizing that there's some things within this that outline that they want to add, obviously, age identification with ID, very similar to UK, but they start talking about overusage of online. For instance, time limits. For instance, time limits as maybe you might be only able to use the internet for 2 or 3 or so hours until your internet access is completely cut off. You know what other country does that? China.
You can criticize
Oh my
what these
God.
laws and orders want to do. You can criticize what these bills...
Pretending that compulsory options for parental controls is the same as government-enforced screen time limits. Okay, dude, you're actually retarded. You are genuinely retarded.
are looking for, and I can definitely see the slippery slope that is being created. However, Chibi is just, frankly, wrong here. The idea that this new bill and all of these new censorship laws are going to allow the government to create a digital footprint for you to know your political party, what you feel about a certain subject. If you've watched any true crime video on YouTube over the last couple of years, they can easily get people's search histories. Now, we can have a conversation about internet privacy all you want. I'm all for that. However, that would require talking about reality, and reality is a lot more boring than a big global cabal of every world government and political party all attacking us together, no matter what side of the spectrum we sit on. However, if you've been watching long enough, Chibi's coverage definitely has some political bias. And when you consider the fact that he continues to lie just to make things sound worse, it gets more and more obvious.
I don't trust random sites, like for instance, porn sites, to have my information, for instance, and have my ID on file. It's not something I want, and we've already seen examples, multiple examples, just in the last 2 weeks on how this is a bad thing. For one, obviously low-hanging fruit is UK with the Online Safety Act. I don't think I need to elaborate on that one.
He chooses not to elaborate because besides his fear-mongering, there really is nothing else to point at, and rightfully so, because the Online Safety Act of 2023, as well as the Kids Online Safety Act that they're looking to potentially put through the House and Senate, have conditions and criteria in place in the bill to make sure that none of this is going to go through until all of the websites are able to prove that the ID verification and any sensitive data that gets pulled in through the websites are completely secure.
Yeah, this is a retarded take. It's a retarded. You can never be sure that it's completely secure. This is just the Online Safety Act sucks.
Chibi brings up the T app here as an example, and that's also an example that you see other people bring up, because to be honest,
also a stupid example. That is a stupid example. They were like totally unencrypted or whatever on some public server. It's a totally different thing compared to the way the Online Safety Act company's been handling it.
Hacking can happen at any point in time. We have seen high-level government organizations be compromised before. You have to understand that there's always going to be a difference between an app like the T app that probably had no direct security compared to websites that are going to have to report to the government and make sure that they uphold certain security conditions at every single 24/7 point of the day. I understand the sentiment, and I also understand the comparison. However, not for nothing, for any actual American citizen or adult, you already know there are plenty of apps and websites that use this exact verification already with no issues. I had to rent a U-Haul the other week, had to scan my ID and have all my verification checked. If you want to monetize a YouTube channel, have your ID and face scanned. We have to stop acting like all of this is brand new and it hasn't been tested and it's destined to fail. Criticize the bills if you want. Again, I think I've made it very clear I certainly would. But consider all of the lies that you've been told this video, and now again go back to that question. Why am I being lied to? Why is Chibi making it seem like the Albanese Labour Party's bill to make all persons under the age of 16 unable to use social media
Albanese
is a part of this big censorship war? It's been around since November 2024 and even probably before that. Maybe it's the same reason Chibi keeps bringing up the Screen Act, another bill that was proposed all the way back in February. The more holes you start poking in this, the less and less this seems like a coordinated effort by all the world governments after we wanted the Epstein files released. We've made it very clear that there are two possibilities existing. Either these creators have no idea what they're talking about and are just going out of their ass to discuss these topics, or there is an ulterior motive being manufactured by design, and all of these people are just falling in line to it. Where do I think Chibi falls on the spectrum? Well, considering this isn't even the first time he's tried to slip his propaganda into the censorship issue, I'll let you decide. Texas SB 20 is a bill that was
Chibi's
introduced
a total
back in
grifter.
February of 2025. What the bill seeks to do is criminalize the creation, distribution, and promotion of visual material that obscenely depicts a child. In simpler terms, if someone knowingly possesses, seeks out, or accesses with full intent to view or promote any kind of CP, whether it is real or manufactured by AI or animation, they are committing a crime. Now, besides a couple additional changes to the Texas Penal Code for certain offenses, there really isn't anything shady hidden inside this bill. The definitions of what the state government means by obscene is made very clear to pertain only to material that's sole intent is to be sexually obscene in nature. As in, the only reason this media exists is to be CP. By the bill's own words, if any kind of actual literary, artistic, educational, political, or scientific value can be derived from the material, it does not meet the criteria of obscene. Not that I would argue there's media out there like that, but what this specifically is—
Yeah, the standard for obscenity in US courts is actually pretty high. I mean, it could be, it is like, ultimately is in the hands of the courts. And I've heard a lot of people say they're concerned because there aren't a lot of judges these days that are willing to take the super hard, unpopular free speech stances. So it can quickly slip into being quite censorious. But as it's set up right now, your lolly's safe. Okay, according to US courts, it seems like your lolly's safe.
included for is to ensure media that might have darker tones, such as series like maybe Goblin Slayer or Heavenly Delusion, video games like Ready or Not, and the like, can all still exist and not get mixed in with the distinction of quote-unquote obscene material. That clarification immediately shuts down any ideas that anime or manga might get affected, which means anyone really attacking this bill is basically just defending people's rights to CP. And no one would be stupid enough to do that, would they? Oof. Now, is that actually what Chibi's doing? I mean, at this point, we've established there's a good chance he just lacks critical thinking. I could never say for sure. But when everyone on his side was on the same page and up in arms against this bill, most of their arguments solely surrounding the whole lolly is just fiction excuse, personally, that becomes a little bit hard to believe for me, but what do I know? I mean, just listen to the way he describes this bill right out of the gate.
If you don't know what you're looking at, let me explain. This is the bill in Texas that threatens to ban all anime. For instance, if you were to watch something like Goblin Slayer, One Piece, Naruto, or Bleach, you would be labeled as a felon.
Listen, I think there's a good chance most of the people who thought things like Goblin Slayer might be affected are just misguided or ignorant to the topic. Say what you will about lolicons, if fictional stories begin to get censored, as we just saw happen with the Steam itch.io situation, I think people are right to sound the alarm about this bill. But if you're trying to signal boost about lolly being banned, 9 out of 10 people are immediately going to tune out of that message. There's always going to be people that are just cool with censorship, especially when it's towards fictional media that they feel adverse to. So if you just slightly twist the narrative, making it seem like even mainstream anime and manga are going to get affected, you could probably—
Who's to blame for the video? That looks like a really original to me.
Suck in all the more normal viewers in your audience and get them concerned as well. And once you open up someone's ear to your cause, they're going to be much more willing to listen when it comes to everything else. That's not only how radicalization begins, it's also exactly how conspiracy theories flourish and grow into massive webs. Eventually, you're just so bought in that you can weave anything in front of these people, and it all just becomes a part of the conspiracy effortlessly. Whether Chibi is aware of what he's doing, or he's just one of the many other duped people lost in their own personal web of shadows, it is impossible to tell. I can't get into Chibi's head, thank God, and I do not know what he's actually thinking. All I can do is assume and make opinions based off the slimy tactics that Chibi seems to use in his content. However, when you consider that it's also possible Chibi might be intentionally scamming his audience as well, we can definitely come to plenty of assumptions. Back in October of 2024, the first episode of Don to Don hit streaming services to massive success. However, in the most wretched hive of scum and villainy, also known as X or Twitter, ChibiReviews decided to be extremely controversial and post a screenshot of the infamous alien abduction scene, praising the animators and saying, quote unquote, they didn't need to go this hard. Weird tweet, something I would have just personally scrolled past, to be honest. However, the rest of the internet did not think so, and this man was bombarded and harassed by an insanely large group of Twitter users and fans alike. I'll never defend shit like that, and as someone that has been targeted by entire communities on social media before, I can sympathize to a degree with Chibi for having to deal with this, especially since he wasn't only the victim of a hate campaign, but these communities doxed him, his family, they desecrated his brother's grave, and they also hacked his DeviantArt account, which probably caused him an extreme amount of distress and anguish. According to Chibi, the FBI and/or police were involved, and he did eventually end up getting the situation solved. Obviously, you can't stop all the people that hate you, but at least some kind of justice was served. Shitty story. And if that was the end of it, I probably wouldn't even be bringing this up. But I really just feel like Chibi couldn't help himself here, and instead of asking his fans for pity, he asked for, well, way more than fucking that.
I made this GoFundMe, or this Give, Send, Go donation because I actually need help. It is a lot of money for a lawyer. I'm just gonna be blunt with you. I've done a lot of research into this, and the normal defamation case and stuff like this, with all the different stuff that I'm gonna have to do, it's gonna cost about $15,000 to $25,000. That's so much money. That is so much money, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't have that money.
$25,000 for a defamation case against this supposed mystery man that ruined his reputation. Chibi has already made a video addressing people that think he's lying about the suit. However, in my opinion, the reason this seems like one big scam to me is the fact that there's absolutely no way in hell anything that happened to this man would lead to a defamation case that
finds out about DEI Lolik and hires like Spinal. Kuihman is the only lowly we need in this stream without woke
Okay,
meddling.
man. Thank you, Jimbly. Thank you.
any judge would even consider bringing to a courtroom. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I want to make that very clear. But unlike Chibi, before I talk about something, I like to do a little bit of research into it. So you tell me if you think any of this is relevant. A defamation case is a type of lawsuit where one party sues another for making false and damaging statements about them that harm their reputation. These cases are commonly difficult to win because you not only have to prove the offender was providing false information to a third party knowingly, meaning you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the person knew what they were saying was a lie, but also that they were making that statement as a fact and not an opinion. On top of that, you must also prove that this lie caused actual damage to your character or reputation, which becomes its own distinction of either defamation per se or defamation per quo. Defamation per quo requires the plaintiff to prove actual monetary harm to their business with documents, receipts, or profit loss. This financial harm needs to also be proven to have only been caused by the defamatory statement. Defamation per se is assumed damages to one's reputation and requires less evidence. However, the plaintiff has to still show beyond unreasonable doubt that the false statement rendered them unable to conduct future business or caused them harm in regards to their community or associations. Chibi claims that due to his doxing and this harassment campaign, he lost a sponsorship for one video he had lined up, which would meet the base definition of per quo. However, upon review of what it actually—
Yo, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Huge appreciate. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Kelliots. Awesome sauce. Thank you. That's the guy's username, by the way. I'm not just saying awesome sauce.
He says, I don't know if a judge would be able to say beyond reasonable doubt this was caused directly by Chibi's hack, as it's also completely possible from this wording the company stepped away because they didn't appreciate the initial tweet, they didn't like the controversy in the first place. It's a little unclear. Chibi also claims that he had to change his profile picture because the entire situation caused the artist responsible for the work to ask him to please not associate with them any longer, which could definitely be per se. But again, not only would you be able to argue till the sun comes up about the actual reason behind why this artist was upset, in my personal opinion, I don't really believe anyone that I would professionally work with like this would just drop me because I'm the one being harassed, unless I was, you know, poking bears and sowing discourse on purpose that brought unnecessary controversy their way. But that's also giving Chibi the benefit of the doubt that he's even telling the truth about this stuff. And look, I want to say again, it's all my opinion, but based on the fact Chibi constantly and repeatedly brags about his monthly Twitter revenue that he gets for posting controversial tweets, I mean, you've got him here bragging about how all of this negative attention helps grow his social media presence, which kind of throws a wrench in the whole damages portion of the defamation case.
Wait, I didn't support anything happening to Willie. Jeff F. Bridge. I didn't support anything. Where's me supporting anything happening to Willie? And he wasn't right. What do you mean he was wrong about something? It wasn't a matter of him being wrong. He contradicted himself. But I honestly think you're trolling because your messages don't make a lot of sense. I've watched the Willie video. I didn't support it. What do I say? What do I say in the Willie video? Are you confused? Willie tried to come up with an argument to say that I'm not saying what I'm explicitly saying, but I do explicitly say I don't support it. I don't even know where it is.
Best to skip, to be honest. This is drama slop.
Performative.
I showed you is
with his in the past.
Not what I'm saying, Max. Actually, I'm clearly laying out that those are the standards that he believes in. The Destiny is very clearly laying out that those are.
It's obviously a dog whistle to fuck with me. He literally gets a donation that says, "I understand."
Kuihman getting
what
one
we
guide.
must do.
Okay, Chud
Wink,
logic.
wink.
Yeah, alright, prick.
Anything
Is just you literally made me go back, you fucking loser. Fuck you.
Case, especially when you consider the hate brigade only came your way because of your own actions in the first place. And again, while I can't go into Chibi's head and confirm any of this as fact, we can really only assume intentionality. A person's actions, though, usually almost always paint a pretty vivid picture that we can interpret for our own eyes. Because if you think I'm nitpicking Chibi here on his supposed defamation case, what in the hell do you think a lawyer and judge are gonna do if this actually goes to court? And also, not for nothing, in regards to defamation in general, if your reputation on the internet is already the lolly and incest is cool guy, I don't know if it's necessarily reputation damaging for people to claim they might have found actual CP on your DeviantArt account. Again, I don't know if this is true or not. It seems like there's no definitive answer on the internet that says it either way. However, if this is the best Chibi can do to defend himself from those allegations, I certainly would not want to see him try and do this in front of a judge.
Someone got onto the forum, hacked into the account, and started posting illegal content. And that's what led to the account, which is still currently suspended. It's gone. But, yes, they have actively went into my account, and now there's people that have tried to backtrack and say, you know, it was there was always there, but there's evidence to showcase they hacked into it, and yeah. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is,
good luck in court, buddy.
Very certain I'm going to win. I have no doubt in my mind, like, at all. Like, I am 100% certain I'm going to win this case.
In my opinion, most of these people are taking advantage of their audience's fear and confusion around these topics, using it to not only profit as much as they can, but worst case scenario, also using it to insert their political agendas and beliefs under some guise of genuine care and concern for censorship or whatever issue they happen to be talking about. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of this video and for some reason you still think that I'm at all in support of any of these censorship bills, maybe that's my fault for not mentioning it a 12th or 13th time, but I hope you are at least able to see how certain bad actors are more.
Okay, wow. End of the video. Finally. I was kind of bored of that now. Okay.